Wessex Heights by Thomas Hardy, 1840 to 1928. There are some heights in Wessex, shaped as if by a kindly hand, for thinking, dreaming, dying on, and at crises when I stand. Say on Ingpen Beacon eastward, or on Wylls-Neck westwardly, I seem where I was before my birth, and after death may be. In the lowlands I have no comrade, not even the lone man's friend, her who suffereth long and is kind, accepts what he is too weak to mend. Down there they are dubious and askance, there nobody thinks as I. But mine chains do not clank where one's next neighbour is the sky. In the towns I'm tracked by phantoms having weird detective ways, shadows of being who fellowed with myself of earlier days. They hang about at places and they say harsh heavy things, men with a frigid sneer and women with tart disparagings. Down there I seem to be false to myself, my simple self that was, and is not now, and I see him watching, wondering what crass cause can have merged him into such a strange continuator as this, who yet has something in common with himself, my chrysalis. I cannot go to the great grey plain, there's a figure against the moon, nobody sees it but I, and it makes my breast beat out of tune. I cannot go to the tall spired town, being barred by the forms now past, for everybody but me, in whose long vision they stand there fast. There's a ghost at Yell'ham Bottom, chiding loud at the fall of night. There's a ghost in Froomside Vale, thin-lipped and vague in a shroud of white. There is one in the railway train wherever I do not want it near. I see its profile against the pane, saying what I should not hear. As for one rare fair woman, I am now but a thought of hers. I enter her mind, and another thought succeeds me that she prefers. Yet my love for her in its fullness, she herself even did not know. Well, time cures hearts of tenderness, and now I can let her go. So I am found on Ingpen Beacon, or Wylls-Neck to the west, or else on homely Bulbarrow, or Little Pilsden Crest, where men have never cared to haunt, nor women have walked with me, and ghosts then keep their distance, and I know some liberty. Okay, this is a poem by Thomas Hardy. Let's see, Thomas Hardy came from Dorsetshire, which very often is also considered to be Wessex. Wessex, the kingdom of Wessex. He came from a family that was not very wealthy. And they couldn't pay for him to go to university, but eventually he went to King's College London. He's a very Victorian author. Now this poem is very interesting because I think there is a lot of romantic in this poem. I think the romantics of Wordsworth or Taylor Coleridge would like this poem. He was a person who deeply appreciated nature. He loved nature, and this poem is about being on the tops of the hills or in Wessex and looking down on these. And he's saying that these are for him a wonderful place. These are the place where he can think, where he can be himself, where he is away from the influence of the world of men, and his mind is clear, and that he loves being on these hills, that on the tops of these hills he is not tied to his past, he's not tied to the world of men, he is free, he's free to be who he really is. There are some heights in Wessex, shaped as if by a kindly hand, for thinking, dreaming, dying on, and crises when I stand. So there are these lovely hills, and he stands on these hills when he wants to think, when he wants to dream. This is where he would like to die. This is where he goes in time of crisis, when he has problems, when he has difficulties in his life. Say on Ingpen Beacon eastward, or on Wylls-Neck westwardly, I seem where I was before my birth, and after death may be. So these hills, or looking at these hills, looking at these beacons, he can see his whole life. So notice he looks at this, and this is where he was before he was born. This is where he was after where he will be after he dies. And notice, in the Ingpen Beacon is in the east, and Wylls-Neck is in the west, and the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west, and this is the idea of these hills cover his whole life, that all of his life is these hills, is represented by these heights of Wessex. In the lowlands I have no comrade, not even the lone man's friend. Her who suffereth long and is kind, accepts what he is too weak to mend. So when he's in the lowlands, when he comes down off the hills, when he's in the valleys, in the world of men, there are no friends, not even loneliness itself, not even solitude. And I think solitude is the lone man's friend. So he's personifying solitude. Solitude is long-suffering, is kind to you, and solitude you accept your faults. You're much less harsh on yourself. Down there, they are dubious and askance. So down there, they are all dubious about me. They're horrified, askance at me. There, nobody thinks as I. So I'm not the same as them. I don't think in the same way. But mind chains do not clank where one's next neighbour is the sky. So when you're on top of these mountains, the chains of the mind, the things that restrict your thinking, the things that restrict your mind, they don't clank. There are no chains on the mind on the top of these mountains, where you are close to the sky. In the city, in the towns where there are people, your mind is full of chains. You are forced to conform to society. You are chained to being part of society, but on the hills it's not like that. In the towns I'm tracked by phantoms, having weird detective ways, shadows of being who fellowed with myself of earlier days. So when he's in the town, it's as if he's followed by ghosts. These ghosts are ghosts of people who were his friends, or even were himself in earlier days. So when he's in the towns, it's as if he's followed by the shadows of the past, the phantoms of his past. They hang about at places and they say harsh, heavy things. Men with a frigid sneer and women with tart disparagings. So he's followed around by these ghosts in the town, and the ghosts say hard things to him. They criticize him, and the women, they disparage him. They are acid, they are critical, and it's not clear if he really meets these people, or if these are just the memories that he has in these places in the town, and he remembers the things men said to him, the criticism of different women. So he can't be he can't feel or be himself. He's always under attack in the town. Down there I seem to be false to myself, my simple self that was, and is not now, and I see him watching, wondering what crass cause can have merged him into such a strange continuator as this, who yet has something in common with himself, my chrysalis. So in the city he's not true to himself. He doesn't follow his inner compass. This is all. He doesn't follow what he wants. He obeys the rules of men. He's not the simple self that he is. And now in the city he looks at himself, and he wonders what crass cause, what strange events, what stupid things can have merged him, can have made him into the strange person that he is now. He remembers the person he was. He remembers the simple person, the simple child that he was. And he wonders how that he can be this false, strange person in the city. And this person that he is has something in common with himself, with his chrysalis, with his initial being, with his youth. So the chrysalis, the caterpillar, makes a chrysalis, and then it flowers and comes out. And he wonders about himself in the city, and he feels false, and he wonders how he can what he has in relation to what he was, to the simple child, to the simple person that he was. I cannot go to the great grey plain. There's a figure against the moon. Nobody sees it but I, and it makes my breast beat out of tune. So the great grey plain to me is clearly the world of men, or perhaps the city of London itself. And there are figures against the moon, but so in the plain, the cities, these are overshadowed by different figures, and his heart beats quickly. I cannot go to the tall-spired town, being barred by the forms now past. For everybody but me, in whose long vision they stand there fast. So he can't go to the town, because the town is full of visions of people who are dead. The town is barred from him by the spirits of the dead, by the spirits of people he knew, by experiences of the past, and he can see these people there, but nobody else can see them. He's always associating the town with the past, with things that have happened, and they continue there in my eyes, in my mind. There's a ghost at Yell'ham Bottom, chiding loud at the fall of night. So he's now talking about specific ghosts from his past. And there's one at Yell'ham Bottom. And there's a ghost in Froomside Vale. thin-lipped and vague in a shroud of white. Now notice both of these, Yell'ham Bottom, it's not the top of the mountain, it's the bottom. From the vale, the valley, at the bottom of the valley. So there are ghosts in these different places. There is one in the railway train, whenever I do not want it near. So there's a ghost in the when he's in the railway train, in a railway train. I see its profile against the pane, saying what I would not hear. So there are ghosts talking to him, telling him what he should have done, but he didn't want to do that, and he didn't do it. So there are ghosts everywhere for him when he's not on the mountain tops. As for one rare fair woman, I am now but a thought of hers. I enter her mind, and another thought succeeds me, that she prefers. So there's to me there's a question in this. Who is the rare fair woman? And initially I thought, well, this could be his wife who died, but apparently this was written a long time before his first wife died, because he was deeply affected by this. And I think this is just a woman he was in love with when he was young, a woman in the city, and he's now just a thought, something that perhaps she remembers, and then another thought succeeds, a different thought that is more preferable. So he was once in love with this woman, and yes, she remembers him, but just for a second, and then another thought comes, and another thought comes, and he's just a tiny thought of the past. Yet my love for her in its fullness, she herself even did not know. So, but she didn't actually know how much he really loved her. Well, time cures hearts of tenderness, and now I can let her go. So time has gone past, and now he can let her go. I think maybe when he goes to the tops of the mountains, it's easy for him to let her go. So I am found on Ingpen Beacon, or on Wylls-Neck to the west. So he can be in the east at the beginning, or in the beginning of his life, or the west at the end, or else on homely Bullbarrow, or Little Pilsden Crest. So he spends his time on the mountains, on the hills, where men have never cared to haunt, nor women have walked with me. So this is a place where he is alone. This isn't a place where he walks out with women. This is a place without the memories of the past. This is only a place where he is with himself. And ghosts then keep their distance, and I know some liberty. So here on top of the mountains, I'm free. The ghosts of my past have gone, and I'm free. I'm allowed to be myself and think what I want, and not have to conform to the ideas of the life of men. So Thomas Hardy, Wessex Heights.